Missouri Senator Josh Hawley's here. How seriously is Washington taking these, looks like, domestic terror attacks against Tesla?
Well, it ought to be serious, particularly if you follow the money, as you were just pointing out, Jesse. I mean, really, it's time to blow the lid off the dark money operation of the left. They've been doing this for years. They've been funding all kinds, whether we're talking about terrorism on campuses, the pro-Hamas terrorists, whether we're talking about these attacks on Tesla, whether we're talking about what's happened at people's homes, the justices' homes of the Supreme Court, for instance. All of that is AstroTurf left-funded garbage. We ought to find out where all of it is coming from. But Jesse, I'll also just say this. The left have really gotten to be a bunch of weirdos. I mean, just a year ago, they were all driving EVs and touting their moral virtue for doing so. And now they're burning down the dealerships, disrupting the State of the Union. These people are weird. And that's why the American people will not give them power.
I mean, I guess that's why they don't really care about the climate. It was never about lowering the Earth's temperature, because if you really cared that much, you wouldn't burn an electric car, Senator. What about the terror financing angle to hit them with? I mean, if you're giving money to a group that ends up using it to foment violence against people, why can't you go after Soros if he's funding these attacks?
Oh, we absolutely should. We should absolutely follow the money, and it ought to be traced all the way back to its source. And this is why I say, Jesse, the left has gotten by with this for years. This is a great project for the Department of Justice, and they ought to look at all of it. Who's funding these attacks? Who's funding the campus protests? Which, by the way, all of these campus protests, they're all organized, they're coordinated, they're funded. We ought to blow the lid off of that as well. Who was funding the protests in front of the justices' homes, which nearly led to justices being assassinated, Supreme Court justices I'm talking about? The left's been funding all of this stuff. They ought to be accountable for all of it. I love the fact that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are all about transparency. Let's get some transparency on this dark money that is literally dangerous for the American people.
Do any of these Senate Democrats that you're buddies with, do they drive Teslas?
Oh, I'm sure they do. Absolutely. Jesse, listen, no lie. I've sat in hearings and listened to them talk about how morally superior they are because they care about the climate and they're not driving an internal combustion engine vehicle. And now all of a sudden, they're probably first in line to protest. The hypocrisy is amazing.
All right. Well, at least they have their paddles. They can just paddle around in those. Not a great look, Senator. Thank you so much.
Thank you.